Hello, and welcome to this video. We will be discussing the updates that have been made to the Emergency Signage Program. I am Victoria, the Safety Officer for Environmental Health and Safety here at Florida International University. Let's get into it. We will cover the fundamentals of the program, participants and locations, and lastly, an overview of the process. Without further ado, let's get started with the fundamentals. What is the Emergency Signage Program? Our goal is to provide crucial information during emergency situations. We capture data to create emergency signages and maintain a database, all with the intention of ensuring effective communication in the event of an emergency. The information from the database is fed to first responders to ensure they are aware of any hazards before entering the space. And if we are not able to make contact with them, the signage displays the information they need. There are several regulatory agencies that mandate emergency signage, including OSHA, NFPA, the CDC, Florida DOH, and the EPA. The signage incorporates visual depictions of hazards and identifies two emergency contacts who have insight on the operations conducted and hazards found within the space. Lastly, it is a form of communication for first responders so they can protect themselves while they help us. As for participants, who can participate in the Emergency Signage Program? Who determines who can participate? We refer to the research principal investigators or academic lab managers as the group leads. They are responsible for determining the two emergency contacts for the space and will either submit the request themselves or appoint someone within the group to submit the request. EHS strongly recommends that the group lead be one of the space's emergency contacts. However, they can appoint someone. So who can they appoint? As a rule of thumb, it must be an FIU employee within the group. If the person appointed is not a group lead or an emergency contact, we refer to them as an authorized proxy. Ultimately, the appointed person must understand the operations and hazards found within the space. Lastly, students and volunteers are not allowed to participate in the program at all. As for locations, which require emergency signage, if the space has a hazard, conducts experiments, or both, emergency signage is required. If the space has no hazard, emergency signage will not be installed. However, EHS encourages you to enroll in the program because the information can be useful for first responders needing to understand operations in the event of an emergency. Let us discuss the type of rooms that require emergency signage. We will discuss 4 types: rooms, annexes, shared spaces, and open concepts. As a rule of thumb, annexes will not require emergency signage, but there is a caveat that we will discuss shortly. Before beginning, it's important to understand that the same emergency signage must be displayed on all of the doors that lead in or out of a given space. Let's get started. A room is an enclosed space with one or more doors that have direct access to the hallway. If the room has biohazards and health hazards, the emergency signage will indicate these hazards on the door along with 2 emergency contacts for the space. Annexes are rooms within rooms without access to the main hallway. They do not require emergency signage, but they do need to be incorporated into the room's signage. For example, if the room has biohazards and health hazards, the emergency signage will indicate these hazards on the door along with 2 emergency contacts for the space. But if the annex has a flammable hazard, then the emergency signage for the room must also include a flammable hazard. Shared spaces are rooms with 2 or more groups within them. Shared spaces have an additional responsibility of working together because all of the doors that lead into the space must display the same signage. So shared spaces must communicate and determine 2 emergency contacts and a representative who is appointed to submit the signage on behalf of the entire space. For example, here we have group blue, green, and orange. They have determined that a representative from blue and orange will be the emergency contacts, so they will be on the emergency signage. If the room has biohazards, flammables, and corrosive hazards, the emergency signage will indicate these hazards on the door. Additionally, if there's an annex, whatever is in the annex, for example, oxidizing hazard, must also be displayed on the door. Open concepts are rooms with multiple room numbers that are connected without barriers. No doors or walls separate the room numbers. Usually, the room numbers indicate different areas, bays, or working stations. Similar to shared spaces, open concepts have the added responsibility of collaborating to submit one request for the entire space. The request must include all the hazards found within the space and designate 2 representatives that will serve as an emergency contact for the entire space. In this example, groups blue, green, and orange have identified a green and a blue representative as the emergency contacts. They will be on all of the signages that lead into the space. If the room has biohazards, flammables, and health hazards, the emergency signage will indicate these hazards on the door. If you are a shared space or an open concept, we understand the difficulty of coordinating between the groups. We have created a support document, which we will cover shortly. In this final section of the video, we provide an overview of the process. It starts with the capturing of the data. We capture the location, including campus, building, and room number, the number of doors that lead into or out of the space, and whether those doors are exposed to the exterior of the building. We also ask for how many group leads are in the space. We give a maximum limit of 5 group leads. We collect their full names, FIU email address, and emergency phone numbers. The same information is recorded for the 2 emergency contacts. If there is an authorized proxy, we need to know their names and FIU emails as well. Lastly, all hazards are selected. Not all the captured information will be included on the signage. These stars indicate what will be. Although we do capture emergency phone numbers for the group leads, this information is not published. Here's a support document available on our website called the Pre-Fill Support Form. This form was designed with the shared spaces and open concepts in mind to make it easier to gather all the necessary information before starting a submission, but anyone can use it. It's a fillable PDF form. We recommend that you download the support form, fill out and select all the necessary information, and then email it to each other. This streamlines the process by ensuring that whoever is going to submit the form has all the required information. It is crucial that the designated emergency contacts for the area have a thorough understanding of all the operations and hazards within the space. They must also ensure that the emergency phone number they provide is accessible during after-hour emergencies. Please note that the survey will not accept the FIU police phone number as an emergency phone number. Do not put your office number unless it is forwarded to a number that can be reached after hours in the event of an emergency. Now that you have seen the information we capture, let me walk you through the process. Step 1 is the request is submitted. The first round of automated emails will be sent out, but only to the emergency contacts and, if applicable, the authorized proxy. Additionally, EHS receives an email. If one of the emergency contacts is the group lead, then they will not receive the first round of emails. This email is just an informative email, providing a summary of the response and explaining the submission is about to undergo an approval process. You can reply to any of the emails you receive if you have any questions or concerns. EHS will then review the submission and begin the next step, which is the approval process. This process also employs automated emails. The emails are sent to the group leads one by one, requesting an approval of each group lead separately. Here's an example of what the email looks like. It includes a compact summary of the response and a link. The group lead will either respond to the email if they do not approve, or they will follow the link if they do approve. When the group lead follows the link, they will see the information that was submitted. They will then scroll down, find their name, and select Approve, and click on the arrow to continue. Then an automated email will be sent to the next group lead. As the next group lead receives the email and clicks on the link, they will be able to see all of the people that have approved before them. Here's an example of all 4 group leads that have all approved. After the approval process, there are 2 possible outcomes. If there are hazards, EHS will create the signage. If there are no hazards, EHS won't. In any case, the verified data will be processed, and a final email will be sent out to everyone confirming that the database has been updated. We share this weekly with the FIU Police Dispatch. The last step is the installation. EHS will create the signage and then install the signage. Here is a template of the new signage. And with that, we have reached the end of this video. Here's my contact info. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. Remember, it is crucial to keep the emergency signage database up to date, as it is shared with the FIU Police Department and utilized in emergency response. Therefore, we expect you to update the database promptly whenever there are changes to the hazards or personnel in your space. Thank you for watching. Bye.